What does Halloween mean to you? The high holiday of candy? An excuse for a party? Or something more? Growing up in South Africa, while I was familiar with the Christian tradition of celebrating both All Saints' Day on November the 1st and All Souls' Day on November the 2nd, the only trick-or-treating or partying I knew about was what I saw in the movies. When I arrived in Canada and saw how much Halloween was celebrated, I did a little research on its background and was fascinated to learn that the trick-or-treating was probably a practice adapted from a pagan ritual that was practiced all over Europe from about the 10th century or so, called souling. I put a little bit more about this on my blog if you want to read it. In any case, my tendency is always to look more at the soul spiritual side of a spread when I'm doing a Halloween spread. And although I will be doing my own personal tarot and oracle spread on Halloween, I thought it would be nice to take a little bit of time to tune into the collective energies that are swirling around at this time and see if there are any messages that we can all benefit from. And get a little more insight into where we perhaps stand on our path, on our journey. Anyway, that's what I like to do. So, still having a little bit of trouble with the shuffling here. It's getting better. My wrist is definitely getting better. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, we're ready. So, for now, I'm just going to take them off. No, I need to. All right. Let's see what we have. Oh my, interesting. So we have the Five of Swords. Fives are all about change. The Hanged Man, which is about taking a pause. And the Knight of Cups, which is moving forward on a journey. So, if we remember that the swords are also attached to our thoughts. Swords are all about thinking in the mind, the air element. And the Knights of Cups, the cups are all about emotional feelings. We're sitting with the Hanged Man paused between a need to change our thoughts and a need to move forward with the right emotion. Very interesting. So with the Hanged Man, it's also perhaps an indication to take a look at what's going on around you from another point of view. That's the whole thing. We get stuck sometimes in where we are and we're thinking the same thing over and over again, and we just need to look at it from another point of view. Underneath that, sort of in the unconscious, is the Five of Cups. Something that we haven't perhaps been able to let go of. Grief or sorrow that we may not have worked completely through. So there's something for each of us to look at in our own lives. Is that true? Is it not true? What does that perhaps relate to in your life? The one thought that pops into my mind as I'm looking at this for myself is the having to let go of my business life and when I retired, and you know, that's a little bit of sorrow attached because you're no longer doing what you were doing. You're no longer who you thought you were. Got to give it a bit more thought. When it comes to these sort of readings for myself, I always have to ruminate on it a bit. So I'll leave that with you. Perhaps you have a better idea of where that stands for you. But look, we have the Empress who is here to help us. The abundance is there. If we can move through this scenario here and change our thinking and be ready to move forward, the Empress is waiting with all the abundance. The biggest thing about the Empress too to remember is that she doesn't do anything to get the abundance. She just receives. So letting go with the Hanged Man and receiving with the Empress is perhaps the next step forward, or something to think about as well. And we have the Lovers here with the Empress. So the Lovers can be working with someone. It can be a choice. So it could be that we're choosing to move forward on this. It could also be that we're working with a friend or a lover, or with our own soul, and that would be a soul with our higher self, or with God, or with our spirit guide, whatever that means to you. So as we move into this Empress energy, we want to make sure that we work perhaps with someone. As I say, whether it is your own higher self or whether it is someone else who is a trusted ally. Yeah. We have 2 6s here underneath. And these are things to perhaps be aware of as we move into the challenges here. Traditionally, 6 of Wands is seen as the victory, had success, and the 6 of Swords is moving out of troubled waters. So you could look at this and say, okay, you know, if you do this, then you're going to be able to be victorious and move out of troubled waters. But there is something else here as well, I think, and I'm not quite sure what it is we need to be aware of and be cautious of. I think as we look at moving forward, we want to be really sure that the direction that we're going in is actually the one that we are meant to be going in. The outcome of this is the 9 of Cups, which is, of course, wish fulfillment. So it all depends on how you interpret these different cards in your own life. I'm trying to wrap my head around what this would be in my own life. Because normally I like to see these cards, but I'm just a little hesitant and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. Let's pull a few oracle cards to see what messages they have to round this out. I'm going to pull from Tori Hartman's Chakra Wisdom oracle cards, and let's just see. This might give us some information on the 6 of Wands and the 6 of Swords. Let's just shuffle that up. Cut it. Okay. Okay. Gratitude. So everything we do with gratitude, not to forget. That might be the piece that we were leaving out. We want to do this with gratitude. I'm really glad that you're in my life. Love comes from many sources. Is there another one? Enlightenment. If I seek peace, I must embrace my fears. Share your knowledge. The bottom of that deck is release. So that release, oopsie, is tying in again with the release of the Hanged Man, letting go, letting go. I'm also going to pull a card from the Soul Helper Oracle and see if there's another message there. Okay. What have we got here? Can't make this up. Release your creative energies. Make use of them in your life. So here we're releasing worries and secrets, and here we're asking to be asked to release your creative energies. Now that's of course the bottom of the deck, which is underneath that. The bottom of this deck says, rise above the dark days of life. Do not fight them, but have faith that the fight will always return. That the light, not the fight, I'm so sorry, that the light will always return. So, I mean, we are going into this time where it is darker, we are moving forward, but it's not going to be a quick moving forward. I think with this, I'm seeing that there is some internal work that we need to choose to do. And of course, it's up to us. We choose to do it or we don't. And for each of us, that's going to be a little bit different. So plenty of food for thought here, and I hope that you are able to adapt this to fit your own circumstances and have some insight into how to perhaps move forward this Halloween, taking advantage of the thinning of the veils and being able to perhaps be more in touch with your soul. In any case, whatever you do, I wish you all a very happy Halloween.